We have a project. Time for another build right after this. I'm Rick, and this Shut the heck up, you stinking roosters. Down for your sanity. This is the shack. Hello and welcome back to the shack. Yes, it's time for another project. Finally taking that plunge, got my protection on. I'm ready to do a project out here. What we're going to be building is a, stand/cabinet. I purchased an ice maker. Last one I had went out within 2 months, and then I had an unphenomenal, crappy time trying to get it returned. So I purchased another ice maker, very good ice maker, hopefully, and I purchased it through Home Depot. Never buying that on Lowe's again. So with that, it's taller, it won't fit under the cabinet, so I have to make a stand/cabinet for it so it'll sit like 4 or 5 inches onto my lower cabinet, extends out enough so it'll sit there, but I can't go too far over from the cabinet because I have an outlet right there I don't want to block, so I have to kind of straddle both. And underneath I want to make a couple of drawers, but it will be 2.5 inches higher on the right side looking at it versus the left side, because the left side will go underneath the ledge of the cabinet. Yeah, well, I'll bring you over and I'm going to show you my little sketchy thing, and it'll help you kind of understand. Let me readjust the camera and I'll show you, and we're going to discuss my game plan. I hope it's not too hard to understand. This is the cabinet, this is the ledge, my countertop that sticks over. It sticks over from the cabinet 11 5/8, I can't read it upside down. It extends out 11 5/8. The countertop thickness itself is 2.5 inches. From the floor up to the bottom of that counter is 26 5/8. From the ground to the top of the counter is 29 1/8. Now I'm going to take 1/8 inch away from both those measurements, so I have a little bit of play here, so I can shim underneath and get it level with this countertop. Shim it up so it'll be close to the bottom here, but mainly it's going to be level and flush with the top of the cabinet here. And I got an outlet from the edge of this ledge over about 11 inches, so I'm only going to go over from here 10 1/2, so I want to make sure I don't cover that outlet. So with that, basically this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to do like a rabbet joint for the top to sit on the sides. I'm going to put a dado here for this to go across, and I'll have another piece here, so I got 3 supports. That's my game plan. That's what it's kind of going to look like, and we'll see how it goes as I start setting up. Now wood, I was originally thinking of using some 1/2 inch particle board I have over there, but I have a cheap piece of plywood. I think it's 7 ply. I just want to get rid of, and this is a perfect project. Now I'm going to cut the depth at 16 inches. I need it that deep in order for this to sit on and have room for the plug and the water lines in the back. So let me go and dig out that piece of plywood and we can move on. Now we got that piece dug out. I'm going to set the table saw at 16 inches. We're going to cut down 3 pieces at 16 inches width. I have my fence set at 28 5/8. I've double checked it about 6 times. I'm good to go. So I'm going to cut 2 of these down to 28 5/8. Dead on 28.58. My other piece I got to cut down to 26 1/8. All right, there's our 3 pieces. So let me get the tops cut. That part's done. I need to get this changed out and get my dado blade set in. Be right back. I have my dado blade set in there. I have to go around to make sure the blades are not touching, they're offset enough. That's good. That's good. Now these are 1/8 inch thick, supposedly, but they weren't. When I put my calipers on it, my first measurement with just the 3 blades together was 0.352. I think 0.37475, something like that, is 3/8 of an inch. I'd have to go get my papers and look, but I know it's close enough. So I got my little shims. I put a 0.019 on, and I put a 004 on, 0.004, which brought me up to a 0.375. So now I have to tighten this up and get my other plate put in here. And I should have cut a piece of scrap for this. So I'm gonna go to my chop saw, cut a piece, and then we're going to dial this in. And I gotta get something for my fence. So let me get this figured out, and then we're gonna start setting this up. I have my dado blade set in. I got it just a little bit below the wood here. I got a piece of wood, and basically I just set like a 2 or 3 business card depth underneath this. So it's up just enough, got it clamped on. So I'm gonna raise this up, then I can run this through, run this one through, check them, and either go back, in, up, and just dial it in till it fits just right. So let me go plug it in, and we're gonna turn it on. This way I keep it down. Put these 2 together, not enough. Let me go a little higher. Ooh, man, that comes a good, real nice. Set this up to give you a better idea of what it's going to look like. Pretty much to the height here. This is where the counter is going to go, and that's why I got to have this level with the counter, because the ice machine will set about like that. So what I'm going to do, when I take this apart, I'm going to take this side, put it against this side, flush it on the bottom, put this on top over here, mark my line here. That's where I want the 3/8 dado to go to fit this side into here, into the center support. When that's done, I'm going to use some pieces I have left over like this. I'm going to cut them to 2.5 inch width and put them on the bottom like this for bottom supports. Really not going to have a toe kick in this. It's just going to be a little cabinet that sits flush on the ground. So that will go on down here so I could glue this up and keep everything nice and square, both sides. Then I have some 3/8 inch particle board. I'm going to use that as shelving material. So I'm going to put I may cut a couple of these like 2 inches wide and put some on the centers in here just for added support. Not that there's going to be really any weight in here. So then I will just set the shelf on the bottom here. It's not going to be tacked or anything. I want to be able to take it out so I can shim it to get it level with the counter up here. So once I have this 2.5 inch support on the bottom, put the 3/8 of an inch thick shelf down here. I'm just going to put a shelf in the center. So this is the center for this one. This is center for this side. I'm just going to do a 1/4 inch dado on this. Again, nothing major. I'm going to bring you up to speed real quick. This is what it's going to look like. Got my dados. Got the dado here for the shelf and the dado here for the shelf. When I did the rabbits, I had about a 23,000th shim to get what I wanted. Particle board I'm going to use is a little bit thinner, so I had to take and redo the shim. And I went from a 23,000 shim down to a 12,000 shim. And now these are nice and tight. I did a test cut and did a dry fit with the particle board. Fits really, really good. So now what I'm going to do, I got to get the measurement here and here. Cut me some of my wood down to 2.5 inch widths. Cut them to length. Whatever this measurement is here, 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 and here. I have these right at a 1/4 inch depth. I think these are 2.248, 249, somewhere around there. So whatever the measurement is here, I add 1/2 inch. Whatever the measurement is here, I add 1/2 inch, and I should be good to go. So over to the table saw, I got it set up. Let's cut some of this down, and let's get this carcass finished. This is basically what the carcass is going to look like. As you see, we have the supports here in the middle, all the same height. That's just an added support just in case I am using leftover pieces for this. If I don't have enough the 3/8 to do the shelves and the bottom shelf, then I will use 1/4 inch material for the bottom shelf. You need a little bit of weight on 1/4 inch, even though these are small shelves. Over time it will start to sway and sag a little. So this will prevent any such thing from happening. It will give it support in the middle and keep it nice and flat. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to detach this side. I'm going to glue up and nail up this side. I have to go figure out what nails I want to use. I can nail this side up. When I go to attach this side, I'm probably going to do pocket hole joinery on this side. I don't really want to toenail that right here. Then I'll just nail that side. So the inside, I will use pocket hole joinery just for this side. I think we'll be good to go. Now that I have all the shelves cut to fit, I would cut them about a 1/16 over the measurement I initially got. I would test it like this one here. I'd set it in one corner and see if it was going to fit. Wasn't quite there, so I went back to the table saw, shaved off a 32nd until I got it to fit just right. And now this one just slides in. Let's see right there. But it is a very snug fit. This one here, perfect fit. Now I have to admit something. When I initially did the dados and rabbits, when I put everything away, I went to put this together, I smacked myself on the head because I had forgot to do this dado. So I went back, reset it. I shimmed it a little bit different. It's a little more snug than this one, but now realizing I probably should have kept it the same thickness as this one. It's a little bit snugger, but it will fit. I'll just have to tap it in, take my time. Snug, but it will get in just a little bit at a time. Well, it wasn't going as planned, as you see. I finally just said enough is enough and just busted it out. So I cut another piece and I want to show you something. That's nice. So I cut another piece down till it just started fitting in again, going down every 1/32 of an inch. And I got just a little bit of play both back side to side. Probably could have achieved the same by sanding it, but I know you can't see it, and literally, so I'm going to show you here with my caliper. The thickness is 0.373 down to 0.363. So I shaved 10 thousandths of an inch off. So if I run this piece of wood over, see right there it catches ever so slightly. And that was just enough. I ran this side through, checked it. It seemed like it was going to fit, so I moved it over a 1/16 each time. So went over a little bit more, ran this side through, flipped it, ran this side through, went over another 1/16 of an inch, ran it through, flipped it, ran it through. Now I have a very smooth fit, just enough to take that little edge off. So now fits right in perfect. Now that this has had a chance to set up and dry a little bit, I had to go pick up my granddaughter. We're going to start on the face frame. Now the face frame I'm going to build with this 1.5 pine I got laying around. I got 2 strips of this. Now there's only one thing I thought of once I got this and I set it up here, and if you can see, once I put this 1.5 along the bottom here, you're still going to see this shelf, but again, this is temporary. This is something just for this ice maker to sit on. Didn't think about that. I should have taken this in account and made the bottom supports here out of the same material, so it would have been the same height. So let me get the measurements on this. We're going to get the face frame set up. I'll be back once I get these all cut. I'm just going to use the miter on my table saw. Just have these clamps on, just kind of holding the bottom. Now I got everything sitting just right. I used my Harvey MG36 miter to dial in and get these very precise cut, literally taking off 10 to 15 thousandths at a time till I got the fit that I was looking for. I'm sitting here looking at this, wondering if I should do dowel joinery or if I have enough room to do pocket hole joinery. I don't know. So I think I'm going to get the pocket hole jig out. I'm just going to see what it looks like. carcass sat overnight, nice and solid, ready to go. So I'm going to focus now on the doors. Now traditionally, your cabinet doors, you want about a 3/4 of an inch overhang, meaning the opening, whatever the inner dimension is, you want to go 3/4 of an inch on both sides. So whatever the measurement on the inner dimension is, you add 1.5 inches. Because I am making a very small cabinet, I am using 1.5 inch material. I'm not awarded that luxury of having that much real estate. So I am only going to add 3/8 of an inch on all dimensions, meaning whatever the overall dimension on the inner measurement is, I'm only going to be adding 3/4 of an inch instead of 1.5 inches. I've never had the privilege of making any doors, so when I finally got my first true router table, I was ecstatic to finally be able to make my own doors. So I'm going to be doing shaker style doors for this. So let me readjust the camera. I'm going to try to explain the measurement. Oh man, this migraine and my pinched nerve is absolutely killing me this morning. So I'm going to try to explain the measuring process. This is your rail, this is your stile. Rail is just like what the trains run on, the rails. They are horizontal. They are not vertical, up and down, going into space. Your stiles run into space. Stile, my overall width on the inner dimension is 10 inches on the one opening. So I want 3/8 of an overhang on the door, both sides, so that means 3/8, that's 3/4 of an inch. So the overall width now is 10 3/4. Your stiles, you cut to the overall height. Your rails, you cannot. So how we come up with the length of the rail, my overall dimensions, 10 3/4, 1.5 inches, that's 3 inches. So my 10 3/4 is now minus 3 inches, which is 7 3/4. So just the inner dimension is 7 3/4, but we're not done because the shaker style door, basically like a tongue and groove. So when I cut the rail down, I will have a 3/8 of an inch tongue on both ends that fit into the stiles, which has a 3/8 of an inch groove. So now I go from 10 3/4 minusing 3 inches for the width of the rails, 7 3/4. That's what the rail itself is, but now I have to add on 3/8 of an inch on either side for the tongue. So now the overall length is 8.5. 3/8 tongue will fit into the 3/8 groove, 3/8 tongue fit into the 3/8 groove, and we're back to our overall length. So I don't know if that's explained properly. I can't even think right now. Overall length, 10 3/4 minus 3 inches, 7 3/4 for the rail, adding 3/8 of an inch for the tongue on either end because of the 3/8 groove that will be in each stile. Now that rail ends up being 8.5 inches overall. I'm not going to explain it again. I can't even think straight. I think that's good enough for now. So let me go to the table saw, get it set up, and we're going to rip this down to 1.5 inch slats. Well, I had a little incident, and when I put this freshly ran through the planer poplar on my table saw, somehow within an hour and a half it twisted on me. So not even flat, can't even use it. So I had to go down to the hardware store, and I got me 2 more about the same size. So I'm going to cut out some of the little knots in here. I think I'm going to run these through the planer. I want to make sure the doors are nice and straight, so it looks like I'm going to have to do me some joining. So I'm going to lay these out, see what I'm going to get versus where the knots and stuff are at. And I'll let you know before I start cutting them up, but I got to figure this out. But the poplar is out. Have everything marked out. So this is my plan of attack. This is how I'm going to do this. I cut out the bad pieces. That's this part, and all that, and from here down. So what I'm going to do, I transferred all my marks over to the side. So this is scrap, that's my rail, this piece here is my stile. Same on this one, this is scrap from this line down. From here to there, that's my stile. From there to there, that's my rail. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run both of these through the planer just to make sure I get them all equal, you know, a couple thousandths at a time, not going to take off much, just enough basically get the marks off and to smooth them out, make sure they're all equal, run them both through both sides. Then I'll come back and I'll look at my marks and transfer them back over. When I do that, I'm going to take them to my miter and I'll cut on the lines. This is the waste, so I'll cut this off, throw it away, and I'll cut off this piece, put that aside, and this is the piece I'm going to keep. This is the waste because of the knot. But I'm not going to do anything just yet. So I'm going to get these down to 2 manageable sizes. That here to here, that my rail and stile here. And then I'll take these 2 smaller pieces, run them through the joiner, because I know that's just got a little bit. If you put them this way, you can see I got a gap here. So this kind of warps a little. So I can manage the smaller piece, run it through, get a flat edge, then run it through the table saw, cut them down 1.5 inch widths. Then I'll go back and I'll use my miter here and I'll cut them down, and then I'll get everything set and get my final dimensions. I'll just cut it here. Again, these are about a 1/4 inch oversized. Give me a little extra to play with. I'm going to time lapse this. So let's go. Now I have the material all cut. Everything's cut to the proper size. So let's head over to the router table, get everything set up, and let's make a couple of doors real quick. I'm going to time lapse this part also. Well, I wasn't sure what I was going to use for the panels. I was trying to think of something I had. And I just ran across, I think, 2 little pieces of this. This is actually the flooring we used in our living room. And it's gray. I like it. And I think it turned out pretty cool. Cut it down to size. As you saw, I put a little bit of almost like a rabbit on the back of this. And what I end up doing, I would use my miter and dial it every few thousandths going in, shaving just a little bit off, and then running through again this way to put on the little rabbit until I got this all nice and snug. And let's see if I can open this one up. Ends up being, I don't know if you can catch it, but I got about a 1/16 of a gap on both sides because this little rabbit stops on this side and that side, stops here and gives me a 1/16 of an inch gap. Normally, I got the little, I don't know, rubber balls, whatever you want to call them. You'd put in the door so they won't rattle, but this is going to keep them pretty secure. And this isn't necessarily going to move because of moisture, hot, cold. It's not going to expand because it's flooring. It might do a little bit, but these will more than anything. And I got a 1/16 of a gap all the way around that will allow this to have a little room for expansion or whatever. And they look really cool. Solid piece, and these are 3 pieces here put together. I like it though. I think that came out pretty cool using scrap flooring for panels in your doors. Sand the whole carcass down, sand it, stain it, and then we can do the final assembly, glue this up, assemble it. Yeah, so I'm done for the day. That's good. Come out here tomorrow and hopefully we can finish this up. I like them doors. They turned out really, really nice. has been a really fun project. Very custom, a little cabinet, and it fits perfect. Why I built it the way I did, you see here why it has that little notch in there. It fits perfect underneath there. So now all I have to do is I have to pull the base molding off, cut it down, because it's that way the cabinet will fit flush with the other cabinet. Shim it where it gets flush with the top, and then I can set my ice maker on. You see here the ice maker sitting on it. Now I get the fun process of running water lines, plumbing, drains, and everything else. I hope this ice maker works. I'm doing a lot of extra work for this one versus just one sitting on the countertop, but this one's about 1.5 inches too high to set underneath the upper cabinets. It's just a little bit too tall, so that's why I had to do this. Yeah, I hope it lasts, because this is a lot of work for nothing if it doesn't. So thank you so much for watching. I know they're a little bit long, but if you're new to woodworking or you haven't done much as far as cabinetry, I hope this kind of helps you, especially in a custom piece. There are standards you kind of abide by as far as a traditional cabinet. Because this is a custom piece, it had to go a certain place, limited real estate. I had to shrink the face frame and everything else to make it still look, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, it's visually okay, so it doesn't look like it's weird. To just understand that there are certain standards when you build in cabinets, but when you get to an area or maybe you got a specific custom need here, it's okay to fudge on those standards. Just understand you still got to make it aesthetically okay so it blends in. This doesn't match anything in the house. Again, it's just basically a cabinet stand for this ice maker to sit on. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but I enjoy making the cabinets, and now that I have the ability, finally I can make my own cabinet doors, and I enjoy that. So it's another opportunity to put some of my tools to use, and it was a fun build. We are done. This is complete. Thank you so much for watching. Be blessed. Take back your shack. Build it for your sanity. Trying to get back on track. There's been a lot of behind the stuff going on, a lot of family things going on. I've had to push things. I had to go down to Mexico, take care of something. It's kind of a last minute emergency, so everything got pushed aside. I had to wait for a week. I went down there, spent about 4 or 5 days, I forget what it was, to put in something. So I may end up putting that video out, just a little something of what happened in Mexico. And we're definitely going to get a project going for my Magazine Monday, something I want to do. I want to pull a project out of a magazine once a month, build it, just so you guys can see that sometimes there are decent projects in the magazines. Even if you just view the magazine digitally on the computer, there's still some valuable information in there and some neat little projects. Don't be afraid to try something you never tried before. That's how you hone your craft. Try things you never tried. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself to fail. And then as you learn from them, learn from your mistakes, you become better and better. That's what it's all about. I'm still learning. It never stops. We are done. Thanks for watching. We will see you next video. Two sides, one middle. So let's get that going. Let me get that out. So let me get that.